This is a live trade right here, right now, okay, on the New Zealand dollar. Absolutely great trade. I enter late because I was just scanning the market. I enter extremely late. I was supposed to enter the trade right at the breakthrough in this level right here. So I position myself, let's see how far down, about 20 pips of difference. That's a lot. That's where I should take profits. But anyhow, it doesn't matter what happened before, it's what I actually were able to do. Okay, guys, here is the trade. If you notice the market is doing some swings and so on and so forth, how did I know that I should take a trade to the downside? Let me just explain that to you. If I go to the 5-minute charts, the way that I use the MACD, here's a cool thing. Check this out. If you see that the MACD is crossing to the upside, and I just added this filter as a stochastic below 20, I would consider a potential buy opportunity because the market should keep go high. You know, the momentum is to the high or to the uptrend until it reaches above the 80 line and it crosses. And this is exactly, you can see it right here, okay? So when I was scanning the market was already hovering upward and the MACD was already above 20. So what I did, I know now, let me just try to see if I can recreate this just like so. There you go. I think that will help. Okay, let's just say this is the first thing that I did. MACD is above 20. All right, market should probably going to be start to correct, you know, to the downside. That's the only thing that I know. I don't know how far down. I know that it's probably going to correct. So once that happens, all I have to do is identify some pivot steps. So let me just put it halfway through, start scrolling here. All of a sudden, I see that the market indeed dropped heavily. You see it right there? So let me just draw it correctly. Let me just eliminate this and redo it again. Once I see that the market was above 80, I was expecting the market to drop hard. I need to find some pivots, all right? I need to find, let me see if I can just use, give me 1 second, pointer here, pen. All right, I'm going to try to draw with this. I'm using SOAP pivots, all right? So let's see, I'm just going to try to draw this like so. Okay, you see this? I hope you can see this. And then the market came flat out, came back, so on and so forth. Now, this points down here, guys and girls. It's what I was talking about. Okay, so I needed to find the support level. And what I did, I clicked on my trend line, and from right to left, I try to find where the supports are, and I can see one here. And prior to this one could be this one, but these are the most logical ones. So I just place a trade just like so. Just put it on the future right here. And once the market just dropped through it, I can just short the market. So this is what happened. The market just immediately just dropped hard right here. You can see it. So by the time when I get back into the computer, the only thing that I could do is just short the market around in this level, place my stop above this pivot high, and now you're going to be asking me, how do you know how far down they'll go? Here's the cool part. What happens is I try to find some triangle. Now, these are the oldest trick of the trade. And believe me when I say one of the oldest trick of the trade is identify price patterns. In this case, are simple triangles. So what happens is I just immediately connect, you know, the bottom parts of here. So you can see just the bottom part of the triangle. Here's the high. So I need to find the highest from this guy. All right. If I go to the left, it will be this guy right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do just like so. So what happens is I see that the width of the triangle is in here. Here's the bottom. Here's the high. So I measure this width. It's about 64 pips. So what I did is, supposedly the market should have penetrated this area, right? Let me just bring the pen once again. Market should have go like so. Didn't happen. So from this level right there, okay, right in here, I am going to measure Let me just bring in this. Sorry for this. I'm going to bring crosshair. I'm going to measure 64 pips to the downside. I think we're going to be amazed with this. 40, 50, 64, right here. See that? Check it out. 64 pips at 78.39, right at the bottom of this bar right there. And they went a little bit further down. And I had it marked right there, give or take 5 pips. I like to give or take 5 pips. Now I got another measurement right here, and the MACD is still telling me, hey guys, we're still going south. So what we should do, you know what? I don't want to get greedy, so I'm just going to go my New Zealand. I got, you see it right here, New Zealand. It's right there live. I'm going to close this trade as I feel comfortable taking that trade, because that's as much as we can. Why? Everything fell in place. I just saw the opportunity at the 5-minute above 80. I let the market tell me when they decided to take the trade. Here's a break, and I took a little bit late though, but that was, you know, more than enough, because I believe in what I'm doing. I know exactly what the market is most likely to do, and I place a trade. And just before you know it, not in this one, but in the other ones, you notice the one that I got left here on Aussie dollar is half a lot, because I already liquidated the first half. You know, I like to cover my profit. Profits are profits, all right? So let's just move on into that one, right? Let's just see. What was that one? Let's see, dollar. Is that the one? Let's see. There you go. You see where I short the market right here? Take a look at here. Same thing applies. Let me give you an example just to help you out. Market was dropping out. Look at the MACD up above 80. Pretty cool, right? You know, the market just is on a downward, downtrend. It's retracing. I don't care how much they retrace, as long as the MACD is telling me that the momentum is dying out. Perfect. Then what happens is I start finding those pivots. So I use this, and this is the pivot. And look at the perfect entry should have been at 0334. Once again, I was a little late at my target, at my entry, and I entered at 0325, about, you know, almost 10 pips away. Not bad at all. But take a look. The first target was at 0298, and this target, look, they're reaching my second target and last one. What do you think? We should close this? MACD is still telling me that they keep going downwards. All right, so you know what? I'm not going to risk it. I think we're getting more than enough. I'm going to close here the remaining. I think that's pretty cool, isn't it? All right, so back to the explanation. You see, everything is by laying out a plan. I'm planning. I know exactly what to expect. I'm holding and waiting patiently until everything falls in sync. Once that happens, you know, the whole thing, you know, turns into, I don't know how to explain it. You just know. You just know. And bear with me, because when you become part of our membership, if that's something you like, it's and don't be scared, it's extremely cheap. We try to every day teach you the most difficult aspect of trading, which is the intuition of it. So I just hope you can find the value on that. So back to the explanation here. If you notice here, how did I get this trade? And it was live right there in front of you. These guys are still going. So hopefully, let's just try to see if we can find other trade. I mean, other. Yeah, I think we can find some other targets. Okay, let me just show you these two targets that I created here. Try to find a triangle. Here's the first one. Here's the top one. So I measured the width of the triangle. That's about 34 pips. And that should be this trade right here. See if that's true. Yeah, about 36, 34 pips. You see? First target reached. Now, what happened next? Well, if you ask me, I can use this bottom. You see, is a wider triangle, isn't it? It makes sense, right? It's a triangle. But in this case, I need to choose, make sure, you see, this is the pivot I need to use. This guy right here. Point here, point here. Now I need to measure. the width. We're talking about 70 pips, and more likely that's where they're going right now. Let's see if that happens. Here's the entry right there, 70 pips down. Boom, right there. They just went through it. So you might be thinking, well, how far down they will go? Hey, check this out. Do you see a higher triangle? You see how this turns out to be? How cool this is? It's a huge triangle. Well, it's just because we're in the 5-minute, but if we switch to the 50-minute, it looks more normal. See it? Pretty cool. We can just measure the width of the triangle. We're talking about 115 pips, and I bet you that's where they're stopping at. We cleared out here, 115 pips. Well, they're still far away. What happened? Let's see if we can just mark that. It's 220. Let's just use a horizontal and just mark the 220. Now, if you ask me, back to the 5-minute, just see, and you ask me, hey, Carlos, do you think they will reach the 220? Look at the MACD. Until these two guys goes all the way through it, below 20, like so, like in here, or like in here, you see it? This is the most probable thing is this guy is going to try to take this low right there. Once again, that depends on you. That depends how much you want to risk and how you would like to manage your risk. In my case, I reached my 2 targets, more than enough. I'm done for. I'm even done trading for today. I think I'm not even going to trade the opening of the UK session. You know, it was a good thing. All right, so that's exactly what we're trying to show you here. This is what we call the pivot step. We use market price activity in combination to the force of the MACD to dictate the precise momentum and at which trend we should be trading at. Now, let me just bring the original aspect of this. No, let's just keep ourselves on the Aussie dollar here. I'm going to switch. I'm going to eliminate. Well, you know what? Let me just leave it here so you can have that visual reference right there. If I switch back to 1 hour, check the 1 hour. It's below here, and it's just going above and flattening out. In other terms, I'm sorry, this would be the bottom right here, and you should take a position to move higher. And in the market, indeed, move higher. J cross here. Here's a pivot step. Let me just draw it for you. Remember, pivot step means trying to find the most recent resistance points, and here's the buy. Our stop should be about 15 to 20 pips below the most recent pivot low, and that should be your buy. From that point on, the market moved about 113 pips, more than enough. Remember, this is a 1 hour chart, guys. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of profits. You could have get out anytime. You know, many people will say, hey, but you just reversed back down and took me out. Come on. You got 8 hours of profit. There's absolutely no way you could have let profits die. You do your management. You cover half of your position anywhere you feel like it, or all of the position, move to break-even point, and liquidate once the market just end up its path. So how this guy came about. If I go to the 4 hour chart, look what the 4 hour chart was doing. And this is the main core of my system using the MACD for trend identification and forecasting. All right, so this guy right here was indicating that the market was still strong to the downside. The width of the MACD was pointing downwards with force. They were above 80, pointing downward. So if that happens, every time the market recover or make a retracement, I should take a short position. Now, do you remember on the slide that I told you about market symmetry? Let me just eliminate all this. All right? And I hope I'm not boring you with all this. I'm sorry if I am, but here's the point. Market symmetry. Market came from high to low, right? And from this move down, if you notice, they have two corrections. One, two corrections. You see? This correction here and this correction here. Now, here's the symmetry. How much was this correction? About 110 pips. So this correction should end pretty close to 110 as well. See how this went on? 163. But this is spike. So you notice here's the actual top on all of these guys right here. So we're talking about 121, 110, 127, give or take 10 pips. Not bad at all. So based on this market tendency, market went down, went up, came down, went up. Hey, I know that they should retrace about 110 pips. So I'll wait for that, and then I'll just drop down to lower time frames and trade in favor of the main trend, which is 4 hour, which was to the downside. So what happens is, when I went to the 5-minute chart, I noticed the MACD, because remember I'm positioning myself correctly above the 80 level, overbought condition. Pretty cool. I'm expecting right around the same levels of 110 pip correction. Remember that? Pretty close on the same level. It was hovering right there. And I did my pivot steps. Once again, let me just take these two. This is the entry, and you know the rest is history. This is the whole thinking about my trading strategy. It's a simple trading strategy that I've been teaching people how to do it. Keep it simple, just one indicator, and you will be blown away on how you do it. All right, so let me just get back to the 4-hour chart. Now, let me just show you another trick here. I'm just waiting to see if they just hit this third target, and then I feel comfortable with all this stuff. Now, I taught you about market symmetry, right? Correction symmetry. I taught you about the MACD. Just a straightforward, simple above 80 when they cross, just like a stochastic. You can consider it a short position. Say, take a look at this short position. Look, see how this guy just dropped all the way there. Look how many pips you got from this guy right there until now. We're talking about 376 pips. All right, since the 27th. All right, so this is a huge thing. Now, I'm going to let you know other idea. How did I know this is a possible top? You want to find out? I bet you would. It's very cool. It's very simple. Did you, and I hope you have time to go through the process of learning what we call the Elliot wave patterns, where everything goes in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 waves, right? So I usually start analyzing the market from right to left, and the reason being, I want to know what this top is. I want to know where it is, you know, where we're at. So if I start analyzing a simple idea of Elliott waves, it's simple counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This should be a wave 3 or wave 5. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, this is a 5th way up, so a huge correction might be coming up. So the potentials for the market to come down are going to start right around here. You see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, remember, the third wave, which is this one, and the 5th wave are usually the longest. So this was a clear 5th wave up, positioning myself into the downside. It was very probable. MACD confirming above 80. I should take a trade to the downside as soon as they give me opportunity. In the 4-hour chart, I would find a pivot step in here. You see it? So I need to find a lower pivot, all right, lower swing than this one. It would have been this guy. So check it out. I'll do this. That will be my entry trade right there. I will use a close. And guess what? I need to find some sort of triangle pattern. I can use something like so. Quite steep though, but it works out. It's a triangle. I don't care. So I'm going to measure this with, and we're talking about 226. Let's see if that's true. 226, right around here. Let's see, hold on, my mistake. Right there. just where the market just stopped right there. So let's just take the highest one. This guy right there. Is breaking out the triangle, but I just need to know the swing. Maybe it's higher. And we're talking about 244. Let's check it out. 244. It's a little bit further down and still profitable, or the price is just more or less held. You see how cool this is? The actual price pattern is telling us what we should be looking for and how far down or up they will move. Now, if you join this guy right here, that validates the idea that it's overbought, and once they cross, you can just be more confident on your trade. You can take that drop heavily right there. And by filtering the wrong trade with the pivot step, meaning you find those pivots, identify support, and they break, just take it. Use the most previous pivot high as a stop loss. It would have been just like so. This would have been our stop around that level right there. And that's it. You know how far down you'll go. You know where your stop is. And you know where to enter. And these guys are still going. You see? So, folks, this is basically an overview. We're running almost out of time. But I'm going to try to see if I can just find some other trades that we took earlier. This guy just reached the 2 targets. Look at the 4-hour MACD pointing downwards. Perfect execution right there. I'm trading always in favor of the trend. Euro dollar. Let's see what euro dollars are doing. Look. Oh, here's a great example. Let me just talk about, now that I got this chart on, about the synergy zone. So this is an add-on. Listen to this. Yesterday, I set up a video forecast for members, and they received the forecast. Now, the forecast stipulated the following, all right? The forecast stipulated the following. Right around 11 p.m., that is the most that I usually wait, because I like to filter what happens on the Sydney and Tokyo session before committing myself into the European session. That's something that I learned as well, by the way. So that's the reason most of my forecasts come out at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. By then, I knew, and I told everybody, hey, the market, the euro dollar, should correct all the way back to 37.76, no more than 38.74. So we're talking a huge range here, right? We're talking about 100 pips almost. Now, we got a premium level of potential reversal at 38.23 to 38.27. Look what these two guys did right there. And we knew about these levels 1 day prior. Well, not 1 day prior, let's just be honest, about 10 hours prior. Now, it took all day. I'm not saying that it worked out perfectly. It just took all day for the market to reach. But once they reach, this is what we call the highest probable trade in our favor, meaning the market just correct everything that they wanted to correct, so we can consider a short position to the downside and target the 3 target price that I provide to everybody is 35.63, 34.08, and 33.95. So you can write this down, and I believe we're going to have already the forecast video for the next week, so you can just see the validity of what we're providing here. So this is exactly what you're going to be we're going to be receiving a video explaining the levels with the blue square that I call synergy zone, explaining exactly the highest probability of turnaround points. And let me just be clear here and take the opportunity. I am not, and I repeat, please, I do not call tops and bottoms. I don't, please, if there's anybody out there thinking about that, I'm not. This is highly calculated levels of resistance and support confirmed by different factors that I learned through the years. And then I wait for the actual market to tell us where to enter at the market. In this case, let me just blow it up to the 30-minute chart, and you can enjoy this. If you notice here, I was waiting for the market. The market reached in here, so I could have taken any position whatsoever to over in that place. If that's the case, let me just recreate that. Okay, market just went up and came back down. So I got 2 pivots behind, so I can use this as the pivot. Can you see how price kept going, going, and going, and never gave me an entry until here? I'm just showing you this live. This is not, I'm not coming up with this. I'm just showing it to you right there. Look how the actual price movement never gave me an entry. Never. Until they felt comfortable. Now, by this time, I got a few cool things happening at once. One, I was trading in favor of the trend. If I'm not mistaken, 4-hour chart. There you go. Still separated by then. You see, it was separated by then. So I was trading in favor of the 4-hour chart. That's good. Okay, back to the 30-minute. That's good. Market reached the highest probability area inside the synergy zone, meaning within this area, as long as they don't reach the stop loss, which I'm going to explain now how that works. Once they reach this level, I'm expecting the market to reverse anytime soon. But I got the pivot step to filter that entry. Market went once, never gave me an entry. Went twice, entry came on, and we would still be on in this trade.